here's an absolute belter, this one, Steve. I'm sure you spotted this too. Radiographers at multiple hospitals have been told they must check whether all patients aged 12 to 55 are pregnant, regardless of their sex. This is part of an inclusivity guidance. This is guidance was written after an incident where a trans man was unknowingly pregnant, had a CT scan. And as a result, they're now deciding you've got to ask everybody, are you up for stick?
Yeah, I mean, this is an abundance of caution issue, isn't it? That they made this whoopsie once and they want to make sure they don't do it again. What they've done is taken it too far. And when I go to the dentist, that's it. I've actually got a dentist. That should be the headline shocker here.
Imagine that. Right there.
I've got an actual dentist. But every time I go in there for a checkup, I've got to fill in a form, and one of them is there a chance you could be pregnant? And of course, no, because duh. And that's it. I crack on with my life.
So you've actually had that question?
Yeah, but that's because it's just a thing that they print off, and up the top I'll tick my sex, and then lower down there's the question. What you don't want is for them to have to sit you down and have the talk with you like you've no idea what the birds and the bees are. They don't need it as a question. All they need to do is say you're having a scan. It's a scan that you can't have if you're pregnant. That's it. You don't have to make it this awkward thing. In the article, it says how people were annoyed at the question. How deep and probing were they going to try and work out if these people could be pregnant? There was one story of a bloke who's he was on the 2-week urgent cancer pathway, was so annoyed by the questions he stormed out instead of having the scan. Now, to be fair, if I thought I could have cancer, I'd answer a couple of dumb questions.
Yeah, I might.
Something
it
about
might
my
usurp
quiff
that. But
yeah,
if they start to put your legs in those stirrups and then whip out a torch, Steve, then you might start to rethink this policy of yours.
Yeah, I'd think this is not a very good dentist. She does not know which end's which. They're not my molars.
Absolutely, yeah, you won't find them there.
No, I don't have tonsillitis. Yeah.
Not that we know of, indeed. But the idea, of course, of all of this, and what fascinates me is that all of these announcements, whether it's health or whether it's something in the council, began life around an old oak committee table with people coming up with... Somebody somewhere said, I've got an idea. Why don't we just ask everybody if they're pregnant? So somebody somewhere came into work, clearly, and there was this one story of apparently a trans man who was unknowingly pregnant. But would there not have been other indicators?
Yeah, you'd imagine if you're going to have a scan, then your medical records, and again, I should say, I am not a doctor, but one would presume that my medical records might make mention of, me sex organs. Yeah. Every other record about me does. Why not? My online profile, my dating profile, certainly. So, you'd think there'd be a way to know by the medical
Well, you could.
record.
I mean, let me be blunt about this, and not everybody will like this, but you could kind of, often you could take a guess, and I would assume what they didn't want staff to do was to take a guess and say, oh, by the way, are you a trans man? Because I think you might be. And then the trans person would be upset because they'd say, well, how do you know that? And they would say, well, because you have breasts or something like that.
Oh, interesting. You see, I would presume it's when they say, are you a trans man, the person would be upset if someone who's not a trans man going like, what, hey, why do you think that? So I suppose, look, you're right, that question could cause offence, and they probably thought the pregnancy question causes less offence. They've really missed the side of a barn on this, though, because it's only between the ages of 11 and 55. How are there not 56-year-old women going like, well, you never know. The oldest woman to ever give birth was in her late 60s, weren't she?
I think so.
Yeah, they've dropped a ball on that, which is
I think a woman in China was 103 or something. That might be an urban myth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mate Big Barry told me that in a pub one night, so...
It must be true.
It must be true. All right, finally, and why would we not? Let's talk a little bit about this. The British DNA, Steve, when the weather gets hot, you have to talk about it. And when it gets very cold, we have to talk about it. And we spend most of our life in fairly miserable conditions in this country. But today, top temperatures, 35 degrees.
Whoa. Look, I'm cynical now. I'm cynical because 2 years ago we had the 41 degrees.
Yeah.
That's it now. If you don't start with a 4, I don't care.
Yeah.
I love that we had that heat wave because it stopped people going on about 76, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, you don't know it's hot until it was like 76. Finally, we broke that. But you're right. It's a pastime, isn't it? Tabloid newspapers get pictures of women in bikinis because that's news. Women frolic. And there's always a headline that says, like, we're hotter than pick a hot country, hotter than Barbados.
Yeah.
And it will mean, like, because they've probably got winter at the moment, or, you know, due to the time difference, it's the middle of the night over there. They never do the headline the other way around, do they? You never see like a copy of Le Monde that says Paris is duller than Birmingham. So, you know.
Maybe that's what they need. You're absolutely right, though. Tomorrow there will be some, the Daily Star will call them hot sizzlers, on the beach in Brighton. There's 2 times of year when you can absolutely rely on what a photo editor has done. When it gets over 30 degrees and when kids pass their exam and they get their A-level results, for some reason a picture of 8 of them jumping in the air. Something that never actually happens in real life.
Do you know what? I remember getting my GCSEs and I stayed ground-based. What a fool.
Me too, yes. Yeah, well, I had no reason to jump, frankly.
Fair enough, yeah.
Listen, Steve, thank you. Steve N. Allen, writer and comedian with us on the programme.